Okay guys, I'm here today with Maikimuzumeci, huge honor for me. Guys, Mike is the most successful American Jiu-Jitsu grappler with gi in the history of Jiu-Jitsu, has won 3 world titles as a black belt in the adult division. And today he's gonna tell us here how to learn Jiu-Jitsu as a Jiu-Jitsu blue belt. So Mike, when you look backwards to your career as a blue belt, what was the main thing you did that brought you to where you are today? So what are the techniques that you focus? How did you train? And also try to explain about the regular practitioner and about the professional athlete, the kid who is trying to become a professional. So
okay, so basically what I first want you to understand is when you're for myself, I started training jiu-jitsu when I was 4 years old. So I got my blue belt when I was about 13, 14.
Yep.
So you're supposed to get your blue belt like 16, 15, like that range.
Yep.
So I got it earlier. But so for me, my level was already a lot higher than a blue belt, but because of the rules with juvenile and I was very weak, also because you're a kid, you don't have the strength yet to be like a higher belt.
Yep.
Because I went from blue belt in 2013 and then I was a black belt in 2015.
Man, that's insane.
So so basically, but for in general with blue belt, so because I feel like myself as an example wouldn't be a good one for a blue belt.
Okay.
So as a blue belt in general, I just discussed in the previous video about being a white belt, right? And you build your foundation. If you're not familiar, I just discussed how I built the foundation in Jiu-Jitsu. You have to work first floor up. So once you have this foundation, like we said before, things start becoming easier and easier. But as a blue belt, what you're actually going to be doing is discovering more. When I say discovering, what do I mean? I mean that you're going to be playing with different guards. You're going to be trying to find where you fit in, where you belong, what guard you're going to feel is going to become your A game, because you're still going to be unfamiliar at blue belt. What do you want to do? Which guard is going to be the easiest? I'll give myself as an example. When I was around this age, 13, 12, I used to love X guard. That was my favorite guard, butterfly and X guard. And then when I got to blue belt, I played almost every guard when I was younger. And it was just a time period for me to figure out what guard I would like to do as my A game. And then I eventually got to De La Riva, collar sleeve. But you doing all the guards is what gets you to that point. So at this belt, you're supposed to be practicing every guard, because when you do one guard, it's actually going to help you in the other guard. Okay?
Right.
There's no one guard, and in your mind, you're going to not be improving in another spot, because the concepts of the body remain the same everywhere. So what I want you to do is at this belt, you're practicing every guard and you're starting to learn what your A game is. Once you start seeing what your A game is, that's when you're going to put more focus on, okay? And the only way you do this is over time, constantly practicing each guard. Constantly asking your professor who's teaching you each position or watching our material on all these guards to find out who you are. That's all you're doing as a blue belt. You're discovering yourself. I basically feel like that's the biggest thing as a blue belt.
So white belt, you build your foundation. Blue belt, you kind of play a little bit of every single thing that's kind of advanced, because you have the foundation to figure out who
you are.
I got it. Man, that's amazing.
It's the belt of identification.
I got it. So it's the ID belt. No, that's awesome. Guys, all instructional videos from Maikimuzumeci is at bjjfanatics.com. So make sure to check that out. He's probably one of our main instructors at this point, and he teaches Jiu-Jitsu so well, and it's almost like a neuroscientist.
And then also with blue belt, I just want you guys to understand, please don't get discouraged when you're blue belt. Blue belt is the most common belt for someone to quit Jiu-Jitsu.
Yep.
And it's because people get burnt out, people get discouraged. So please, again, I said this concept before in the white belt video, and it applies to blue belt as well. If you do a sprint, you're going to get out of breath, right? You're going to have to stop running. If you do a long distance run and you stay a steady pace, you'll be able to run way further than if you sprinted, right? This is a long-term thing. You're not just thinking about this belt, you're thinking about black belt already, okay? As a competitor, as a blue belt, you're trying to get as much experience as you can possible in competition. You don't want to have this mindset where you can't lose, because actually in blue belt, your whole goal is to get to black belt, right? If you're a competitor, your goal is to win black belt worlds if you're doing in the gi, right? So your goal in blue belt is to make as many mistakes as you can. If you're 5 pounds, if you could cut weight, I wouldn't even cut weight as a blue belt. I would prefer you to fight a heavier division. That's harder for you, because you want to improve as much as you can to get to black belt. Your whole goal is as a competitor as your race to black belt, right?
Yep.
So it doesn't matter. As looking back, I won worlds every belt, blue, purple, brown, and black. But as a blue belt now, looking back, I never cut weight when I was in the lower belts. I think it's I don't think that you should even be cutting weight yet. Like, leave your body healthy. Don't even cut any weight. And I think that you should be testing yourself and pushing yourself to have the hardest matches you could possibly find as a blue belt. Because now looking back, the world titles in blue, purple, and brown, I don't even really think about once you win like the lower, like the higher belt, you know? It's kind of like the minor leagues in baseball. It's like single A, double A, triple A, right?
Right.
So I think that that's the biggest thing to think about when you're in this belt, not thinking about how I could win and the easiest path. Because if you take the easiest path now, you'll have a lot of hard time. Once you get the black belt, you'll see it's a hard life. Black belt's very hard.
I agree.
So
I agree.
think about that as you're competing now. Trying to challenge yourself. Don't think about cutting weight. Just focus on improving your jiu-jitsu. That's my biggest advice as a blue belt, and you're trying to find out who you are.
Man, that's all.